You are watching Radical Trips, and we are in one of the 10 least visited countries in the world, and also one of the least populated, Mauritania.
Actually crossed a minefield to get here.
No means here?
Boom! No, yeah, not me.
No, okay.
Here, it's me.
Over there. And in this episode, we will show you a 1,000-year-old library hidden in the desert.
Centuries ago. We slept in a oasis, and in the middle of the Sahara, our car broke down, stranding us for hours.
And oh yeah, we rode on the world's longest train.
Radical Trips. Make your life great again.
Oh yeah! We're in Mauritania. We just passed the first military checkpoint, and thanks to the guys that now drive in front of us, we could easily pass. And we didn't have to give any of the presents to the border guards. We were asked quite intensively about giving our Bluetooth speaker. Karel was like,
No!
No!
We have to drive for 6,000 kilometers.
we need the music!
No! 8 days driving without music.
Don't take our speaker!
But I need a present.
Present for me, present
No,
for me, do we have
present for
present?
you. And he took my watch. No! I took it back and then put it back in. No present
No
today.
present!
No present. No present today. Oh, I'm so happy that I met some guys in Dakhla, and the only reason I met them because Rens drank a bottle of wine. So Rens was sleeping, he had a hangover, and I met a really friendly woman who was a kite surfing teacher. And she says, I know someone in Mauritania, I'll give you his phone number, he will do everything for you.
Welcome in Mauritania, my friend.
The wasteland in between the Mauritanian and Moroccan border was ridiculous.
I'm so happy that we just made it. It was really crazy. I never saw it in my life.
There was a car graveyard. Wow, what are the cars doing over there? It's broken cars? Or?
I see broken car, no half document.
And then they just stuck here.
Yeah, I stuck here.
Incredible.
It was really crazy. I couldn't do it myself because I don't know the way. You only see cars and rocks and all crazy shit.
There wasn't a road whatsoever. And on the sides, there are still landmines. They never cleaned them up fully. And then you would expect, well, just drive on the road, but there is no road. So having these fixers for difficult countries like Mauritania,
It's necessary.
man,
The only thing I had to do was have a little talk with the guard to do a check if I am ill, because in Africa there are a lot of diseases and they are afraid that things could spread, so they don't have Ebola or cholera or things like that. So I was just saying, bon voyage, I'm happy, I'm not sick, and they looked at me and they were smiling, and if you are sick you don't act like that.
Yeah.
So then we could
maybe if you're crazy you act like that, but not sick. And we're in the country, man. Easily.
yes, we did it.
Easily. One of the least visited countries in the world. It's like number 8 or something, right? Radical Trips. Coming right at you from the desert.
having passed through hectic border crossing with landmines in between, then having chased our new friends into the bustling harbor city of Nouadhibou, we were still not quite done on this long day. Oh, so we leave on Monday. We started a puzzling discussion on how we could best get to know the country, as we settled in our large apartment that sadly, although not surprisingly, had known better times. Mauritania is almost entirely engulfed by the Sahara Desert, which ends in the North Atlantic Ocean. It's a relatively poor country, leading the bottom 25% of countries worldwide in GDP. This was evident from the littered streets, tiny shacks, and especially the working animals that roam around. Donkey carts carrying all sorts of supplies across the city, and it didn't take long for us to realize that there were goats everywhere we looked. Like really everywhere. We couldn't wait to see more of Mauritania and all of its surprises.
We've just woken up after a 6-hour-ish not so great sleep. I was on the couch, Karel was on the bed. We're about to be picked up by the fixer. It's 7 o'clock and after a quick petit déjeuner, he will take us to the bus station and the three of us will head to Nouakchott, the capital city of Mauritania. It will take approximately 5 hours, after which we will continue the second leg of the journey towards Atar. Stay tuned.
And off we went. We got our cash from the ATM. Although Mauritania introduced a new currency in 2017, they still collectively count and charge in the old coin. So we figured out how to convert our price using new bills to pay our fixer for the upcoming trip. We drove downtown, then switched drivers by getting onto the public bus. It could fit 11 odd people comfortably enough and gave us plenty of time to take in the landscape, since our bus stopped over and over again to deal with the checkpoints. Every time we got going again, we were relieved, since we had almost 1,000 kilometers to cover that day. And in Mauritania, time seems to pass by a little slower than we are used to at home. One of our stops was a small mining town. All around us, people were going about their business, selling, buying, praying. And of course, the donkey cart drivers. Who needs cars when you got Eeyore running the show?
We took a short break, I think to help the other van, which seems to be in trouble. Obviously it's blistering hot. I believe it will be 45 degrees Celsius today. And it is hot, but it's also very windy, so it's not that bad. And I think with the humidity difference from when it's hot over 25 degrees in the Netherlands, as opposed to being in the Sahara Desert of 45 degrees. Yeah, it's not that bad at all. Yeah, who would have thought?
Some 6 hours later, having slept through some of it, we reached the capital city of Nouakchott. While the other passengers offloaded their goods, we approached a clothing market to go shopping. Our mission, our own traditional Mauritanian robes fit for the desert. The marketplace was absolutely teeming with life. Patient vendors and colorful goods spilled out on the street. sometimes 3 rows thick. My size turned out a bit hard to get right, but it's the thought that counts. And we needed to make pace. We got our clothes, now on with the journey towards Attar. Good morning.
We slept in an oasis.
A little bit warm, even at night. A lot of mosquitoes, but now we are in a swimming pool. Temperature is good, and I think, yes, I know for sure, now I feel the best of this holiday.
Hard not to step on my rope.
You see these little black fruits? I ate those yesterday evening. They were lovely.
Now the sun is back. So apparently there are about 20 of these oases across Mauritania. And now I could see that hidden within these mountains, because of the shade, and that makes total sense, they find these oases. Oases, is that plural for oasis? Probably. So then within the shade, and apparently with a water source coming from wherever, it's just lush greenery, palm trees, crickets, and total silence. Except for the drone from these annoying Dutch guys. How do you expect to hear little streams and waterfalls in the dead center of Mauritania in the desert? Look. That is refreshing. I suppose it's 30-35 degrees Celsius right now. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. And in the afternoon it will be another 40-45 degrees, maybe 50. But we're well equipped with our Mauritanian ropes and turban. So let's do it. truck is ready, we are ready. So let's go to Chinguetti.
We're here at the very old library. It's endangered because it can get destroyed forever because there's no one here. It's getting warmer and warmer and people are leaving, so don't forget to spend here some money. And I'm definitely gonna buy some things for home because this neighborhood needs a little bit more money.
Depuis, je suis la bienvenue.
Okay, say welcome.
La bibliothèque de Habot, c'est une bibliothèque
The bibliothèque, familiar bibliothèque,
et la plus ancienne bibliothèque est Chiliti, 200 ans.
200 ans, 200 years ago.
Ça, il doit répondre.
This is the original. Here is a photocopy.
ما الذهب le
Ça, c'est le trait depuis le 13e siècle.
13e siècle.
13e siècle.
13 centuries ago.
Les plus anciens, les plus riches.
16.
16 libraries still exist.
Combien?
Yeah.
And it exists toujours. Now, only 3 was open, bibliothèque.
3
All
hours?
day, yes, opening.
Per day.
Per day, yes.
Non?
You look like you're on a flying carpet. I will make you into a nice animation.
Abdul is a very friendly guy. The only problem is, it's so hot in here, so he cooked a lovely dinner for us. But I think I only took a little bit because it's too hot to eat. And the tea was excellent.
So the one thing that you would hope is not going to happen while driving in the desert is the truck breaking down, which it seems is now the case. So our driver has been trying for about 5 minutes to hammer away within the engine, but it won't start. So it will be interesting to see whether this is a 10-minute problem or a 10-hour one. In the latter case, we will miss our train. And even while it is midday, it's like 3 o'clock, I think we're quite lucky that while now we have to wait for who knows how long, it is actually cloudy, so we're not in the direct sun. So, yeah, could be worse. Stranded in the desert.
If friends and I are eaten by the camels or the goats, we would like to thank those 50 subscribers who follow us everywhere. Please share us account. Radical Trips, dead. It's not funny. It's not funny, man. Why are you laughing? It's not funny.
Some good news. The big problem was all of the phones could not get a signal to call the emergency services. But just now, I think with Karel's phone roaming with a Vodafone from the Netherlands, it seems now they're having a conversation, all excited. And any idea how long it will take?
We have 35 kilometers from here. I don't know, maybe 1 hour.
1 hour, okay. Still waiting for the emergency truck to come fix the car and or pick us up and take us to Attar, and then the last hour to Tjoem. And even if they cannot repair the car right away, they will still take our guide, Moussa, Karel and me, so we won't be late for our train. So that's really nice. Right now Karel is meditating, which is a great habit, especially in a situation like this. And we're just hanging around.
Oh, my mind is quiet.
Oh.
So Rens, don't fuck me up. So I just walk away and do... And then if you're gonna drone fly again, I'm gonna kill you for sure.
Great! After over 2.5 hours waiting, there's our rescue. Musa, you're all right?
I'm good.
Ready for the journey?
Yeah.
I want to go, man. I'm so fucking excited.
Whoa!
We're going!
Yeah.
Ooh, our first meters on the train. Bonjour!
Bonjour! Au revoir!
Bon voyage!
Yeah, it is now gaining speed.
Yes.
Terribly exciting. I see the guys in front of us and the cars ahead also moving around with lights.
But of all those lights, we have the biggest.
We have the
Without a doubt, we have the biggest. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
Because in the desert you can see nothing, only the stars. And tonight I'm gonna make some plans for the rest of my life.
Wow.
I think it's time for some Mauritania tea. Who's gonna bring it?
Waiter!
Please, waiter.
Waiter! I'm not sure they have real catering.
Oh.
Well, you check the Wi-Fi, I check the stars. Good night!
There's no Wi-Fi. Whoa! Good morning, everybody. It's 4 o'clock in the morning. I slept, I think, 4 or 5 hours. And I know you can see it. I have a lot of dirt on my face. But it feels fantastic. Let's look if Rens is still alive.
Me personally, I didn't like to get all the iron dust straight in my mouth. So I look like a mummy, and actually I look rather radical. What did you say?
Yes.
It's quite comfy, and I'm sure we can take another 8 hours of this. Can't wait to see the sun come up and enjoy the surroundings. We're almost in New Hadjibu. I think it's like less than an hour. And the sun has come up. Around 5 o'clock this morning it was incredibly cold. The wind was very strong, and obviously then for hours the sun was away. Pitch dark. And we were so happy with our blankets. But the entire journey on the train was incredible. Even the coldest part, I felt alive. I felt like this was the adventure of a lifetime. Because I found out that this exists by watching an amazing short film. It's like 12 minutes long. It was publicized by National Geographic, made by a small team of video makers over the span of a year in 2 visits. And they've shown these amazing images of this desert train, the nomad people, and the locals that actually use the train, as we do today, by riding on top of the iron ore and transporting their goods from within the Sahara, Choum, or even further away to the north, where the mines are. And then going back and forth with their chickens and groceries and water and any type of products that you can imagine. They use this as their primary mode of transportation. Now, there is a passenger car, There's 3 trains going every day in both directions, but in one of the 3 there's a passenger car. And it rides at the very end of the train. You have to pay a little bit for it. It's dirty, it's filthy, it's cramped, so most people actually prefer to ride on the iron ore, and it's free. It's legal, so the mining company allows for it, and why wouldn't they? Obviously, we're extremely filthy. The iron ore is in everything. It's in my ears, it's in my eyes, it's in my mouth, but it was certainly worth it. I would certainly recommend it. It is worth a trip to Mauritania, at least for us. It's rather safe. I felt safe even while being rather exposed if the train is stopping. At some point I think it was even halted for an hour because it had to wait for the other train in the other direction passing by for it to open the track, because I believe there's mostly one track. It's right along the border of Western Sahara, in the area where the rebels are, the independence fighters that are in active war with Morocco. The minefields are also along that border, so it can be quite tricky. And this train just passes it by on maybe half a kilometer or something. So that's interesting. But even then, yeah, we did feel quite safe. You have to do ridiculous things to actually fall off. So as you can see here, I'm rather deep near the edge of the cart. So it's sturdy. You know, the train wobbles a bit, but that's no problem. And you are open to the elements. But then with a blanket, you will get very far. And I have to say, our friend Musa, the experienced born and raised Mauritanian, did not even have a blanket. Obviously, we share the water, but he just, badass guy that he is, sucked himself in with his coat, and that's about it. So, we're spoiled. Probably, I don't care. I was cozy in my bed in the middle of the iron ore.
I'm going to share some observations with you from the 3 days that we now were in Mauritania, which was, again, as we are used to, a ridiculously short amount of time. And I think we managed quite well to squeeze the most out of it.
The roads are better in Mauritania, right? Yeah.
Special if you could look at the books.
And I didn't know we were going to climb a mountain today.
The journey is incredible. My first observation is they eat a lot of couscous.
We call this couscous. Okay. It's like Morocco too, they have their own couscous, but this one is Mauritanian.
That's rice with some vegetables and maybe, if you are lucky, 1 or 2 little pieces of meat. Except if you have a special invitation, like we did with our fixer who helped us in Mauritania, you have lots and lots of meat with a little bit of rice.
Yeah, that's indeed. They turned it around.
But the goat head was amazing. I never had goat in my life, so I never had goat head as well. You just eat it with your hands, and I just rip a piece off, a little bit rice, and I put it in my mouth.
Yeah, and I believe that's the African way of sharing food. It's a bit messy. You wet your hands beforehand, so it will actually stick to the rice. And you sit around on the floor and enjoy the meal.
He performed many rituals, like with the Mauritania tea. And you counted, Rens?
Over 25 times it went from the pot into the cup, into the pot again, and round it goes.
Yes, I had too much sugar, so I think I have enough sugar for the next 5 years or something like that. But it was wonderful.
Good stuff. I also noted that, well, there's basically 3 highways in the entire country. The country is enormous. The highways are, well, normal roads as you would expect it in any other country in the countryside, but here they connect the biggest city centers with each other, like Nouadhibou and Nouakchott. But if you get into Nouakchott, the capital, the highway changes all of a sudden in this massive 6-lane boulevard, and it was quite an entrance.
For sure.
So a lot of infrastructure work.
Yes, everywhere they are working besides of the road, making new roads, making new towns, because they do a lot of searching for gold. And if they find gold in the mountains, new villages will be born there for the miners and the people around them.
Yeah, and I think it should raise a lot of capital and wealth, because now at various stages I saw new electrical towers being put up one after the other, a lot of wind energy, a lot of solar energy, so they're on the right track. When we traveled with the public bus from Nouadhibou to Nouakchott, it took a lot of time. When we had our own truck to carry us around, I think we went 3 or 4 times as fast, because the public bus had to stop with each checkpoint, and it took a lot of time to, discuss all the particularities of the people in the bus that all have been registered. And for us as tourists, we had to, provide the fiches. And especially when they found at one of the checkpoints this big pile of cargo, basically in the back of the bus, it took us maybe half an hour to get moving again. And I tell you, within the bus while driving, it's perfectly fine. Air conditioning is great. But when you're waiting at the side of the road and waiting, you're practically baking. And the problem with this luggage was that it wasn't supposed to be in the bus, which was only allowed to carry persons. It should have gone on top of the bus. And let's just say they like finding problems and being compensated for it.
It's crazy how much our guide Musa used his telephone. When we asked why, he responded, "Family is the most important thing in the world. I have to be in constant contact with them."
Continuously, he's using WhatsApp and his phone, even while driving. He's vigorously sending messages in the hundreds throughout the day and calling at random moments within discussions or talks. It doesn't matter where he is. Basically, he goes on and on and on. And I think I've seen it happening all around us. I think it's a Mauritanian or even African thing. And while they don't have 4G internet here in Mauritania, they are no less internet addicted. And I saw various people around me, even in the public bus, throughout the desert, using stories, especially within WhatsApp, and even watching football. It wasn't low quality, low resolution, but apparently they're eager enough and patient enough to do it anyway.
The goal is a goal.
Oh yeah, backseat seat belts, they are not a thing here.
And they're driving like crazy. In Western Europe, when you have a red light, you have to stop. Here you can just ignore it, but when there's another car coming, you have to put on the brakes, otherwise just ignore the red lights.
And honk.
Yeah.
And shout.
Yeah.
And curse. Yeah. When we were waking up in the oasis yesterday, I couldn't believe my eyes, because we drove there at night, and night in Mauritania is pitch black. We couldn't see a thing. So we didn't know where we ended up. The mountains around us were incredibly high and steep. I would never have expected that. Actually, mountains to begin with, I didn't really expect them in Mauritania, which might seem ridiculous now because we have seen so many. But you know, I was thinking of an oasis like we were seeing in the old Donald Duck comics. So I was thinking of this small pond in the middle of the sandy desert and 1 or 2 palm trees beside it. But yeah, it was kilometers wide and lush greenery everywhere and mountain paths for us to explore. And it was quite a journey.
It was quite a journey with a lot of big questions because it only rains a couple of days a year. So I asked our tour guide, where is all those water coming from? But it's a big mystery how the water gets into the mountain. Nobody knows where the water is coming from. It's just there.
Sunscreen, we haven't used any in these 3 days, which even to me sounds ridiculous if you go into the Sahara. And even when the truck broke down, we were out in the sun for hours. We did spend most of the time in the shade or in the car, but not always, including of course the train when we were exposed to the elements. And yeah, no problem. I don't know why. Maybe we have built up some resistance already traveling down from Spain and Morocco.
I think so.
Yeah. What was your sleeping strategy in the train? You were sleeping like a little baby.
Just put my blanket down, lay my head on top of it, close my eyes, and I'm gone.
That's not a strategy, that's just instant success.
Rens was listening to podcasts and other things, and I was sleeping.
Well,
I don't know.
I found out that I had a little bit more trouble sleeping. I did get a few hours of shut-eye. But what was interesting is that I found out that, well, the iron ore, it's like sand, right? And you can squeeze it and you can, dig little holes in it. So your elbow or your head or what, you can give everything its place. You can make little pillows. And that's quite nice. Obviously, it's very soft. It makes for a cozy, comfy bed. Only downside is that due to the shaking and the rumbling of the train carriages, it also slowly loses form again, and then you lost your bed and you have to make it again.
And sometimes the train has to brake all of a sudden, and then there is an iron ore avalanche.
And then
your feet or your legs are under the iron ore and you're all black and you say, no! But you have to go through.
Yep.
You can't go back.
It's only 14 hours.
If you're lucky, we took 15 because we had to wait for another iron ore train around 6 o'clock in the morning.
And then the most funny thing, already when we found out, climbing into the train car, one car ahead, they were starting their own barbecue. One car ahead still, they had their live chickens fooling around. So it's a very lively bunch. It's also very confronting when you're hungry and the barbecue smell is passing
Yeah.
by.
Fuckers.
Yeah. The train. It was, it's not comfortable, obviously, but it's one hell of an adventure. And these are memories I will never forget.
That concluded our stay in Mauritania. We chased our friends as they brought us back towards the border and across its minefield. And in the meantime, they played taxi in what started to look like a clown car.
Clown car.
Passing some checkpoints and exiting the city, our fixers continued their side hustles wherever we passed. And of course, what came in must come out. So this concludes Mauritania, a magical trip, and we hope you enjoyed the vlog as much as we did making it. If you want to return the favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we will catch you in the next one. Au revoir. Shout out to the amazing physiotherapist we met in Paris on the very first day of our trip, because that morning, like 11 days ago, my back broke down. It was totally stuck and we thought we had to cancel everything and turn back the same day. But she magically fixed it, and now I'm here in the desert sun on the world's longest train. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.